Very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us today. This is the 14th lecture of this series, and today we have a very young speaker, Jatan Mehta, who completed his MSc in 2016. All of us presently at UDP have been his teachers, and we are all very curious to hear about how he has reached where he is today. That is, as a very successful science writer and a very passionate space explorer, and he's going to talk about very exciting possibilities. Uh, Normally people think that if you go for physics or pure science, you are going for research or just teaching, but there are a lot of possibilities, and one of these Jatan is going to talk about today. So I welcome Jatan also, and we are all very curious to hear his story. So I'll not take much of your time.
Thank you, ma'am, and the University of Mumbai Department of Physics for having me here. It's great to talk to the alma mater where I studied from. And anyway, so I write for various publications. Here are some of them on the screen. And prior to that, I worked at a space company and a brief stint at TIFR as their communicator. And this year, I also started something very interesting, and I'm completely fascinated by it. Is unlike 10 years ago or 20 years ago, where the only way to get any income was to work for someone or freelance for someone or contract or do a contract basis, work for someone. But now in the last 5 years especially, it has been possible for creators of all sorts, not just writers like me, to start a Patreon page or start a similar page. There are many such platforms available, wherein the people who follow your work very keenly and they read your every article or something like that, they can directly fund you with a small contribution every month. And so if you have enough bunch of people, then it starts to substantiate, the amount starts to become substantial. And that's sort of a, interesting way to, do whatever you're doing. So I started getting a few supporters on Patreon. To be clear, it's nowhere near, what you would have from a job as yet. But this is my first year. And the reason I got inspired to do this was I saw many creators in space exploration, in science communication, and even outside, who have become popular after years and years of work of whatever they are doing. That they have 500 to 1,000, supporters, direct supporters. So I was like, okay, that sounds like a really good idea. So let's just go with that. So I'm just, instead of pleasing your, company head, you effectively have to please your audience. The mechanics of it is not very different actually. So yeah, so that was one thing. And then I started public speaking more this year, uh, and so on. And I recently became a contributing editor for the Planetary Society. So the brief context here is, I have been writing for the Planetary Society regularly since this year, uh, and working with their editor Jason Davis. They are making an elaborate resource page where anyone who is interested in space exploration and wants to, uh, but has no idea about the past happenings in space exploration, but is very interested, they can come to the Planetary Society's website and they can learn about the entire history of, let's say, exploring Mars, exploring the moon, exploring Jupiter and beyond, and so on. What are the cutting edge scientific questions that we are answering right now, and so on. Basically, get the entire context in a brief, in a nutshell. So I am helping them with doing some part of those resource pages since this year. So that work has been going on since March. And so finally, this month, as of last week, the editor promoted my position from a science writer, freelance science writer for them, to a contributing editor. So which is great. So I just want students to look at this. When I started this in 2012, on the left hand side of the slides, let's just be generous and say it was not a great blog. Uh, but I just like to write, so I started writing. And this is 2020, where I have now a proper professional writing portfolio. So the point is, at that time, I did not have any idea as to how will I write professionally, if I reach thousands of people, uh, or anything of the sort. Now freelancing is not the only way. Even though I have taken that route for science writing, it's certainly not the only way. For example, I'm sharing some options which my friends and or professionals that are there in science communication, whom I know. So there's Afia, who was a staff writer for Mashable. You must have heard about Mashable. It's very popular. So she wrote space exploration, science, and the entertainment business, all of it for Mashable on a regular basis. So that's one thing. You can become a staff writer. You can become a correspondent, which is basically like a contract position. So you work for the company, but not as an employee. And that's a lucrative position for working for any company abroad. So there's this writer on Twitter called Andrew Jones. He covers the Chinese space program in absolute great detail. And he is a correspondent at Space News. So basically he has a job that way. And there's the editor of the Wire Science, who kickstarted my science communication journey. So he is an engineer by academia and then proceeded to have a degree in journalism. After that, he entered the publishing and print industry. And now he's the editor of the Wire Science in just a few years after the fact. So, take a course in journalism. I haven't, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't. So I think in retrospect, if I had known that I wanted to become a science writer, I would have definitely gone for this option. So, and there are scientists who do journalism courses after getting a PhD and enter science communication also, by the way. So just saying. And the last option is the becoming an editor. So this is like your, for example, as a researcher, for example, you could have one of the options as a pinnacle of your career is being head of the department or head of an institute. For the publishing industry, it's becoming an editor of a publication. So this is the editor I work with for the Planetary Society. And of course, science communication is not just science writing. You can become a launch photographer. So this guy, John Cross, has 69,000 followers on Instagram, and he clicks photos of rockets launching for a living, right? And just look at these photos; they are incredible. And so he does that for a living. In fact, space companies and organizations hire him to click photos of their missions, which they can then use for outreach and marketing and so on. So this is another option. It doesn't have to be a technical job in any way, either by communication or research. Then you can become an artist, which is communicating science via art. So Ipsa Jain, for example, is a biologist, and she makes art which is scientifically accurate. And her work has been published on the cover of research magazines. So basically, that's also a way to get published on a magazine. It doesn't have to be a research paper. Then there's Karuna, who is of course a university student. Many of you know her personally. So she is now, pursuing professional art, astronomy art, and she has been making fantastic paintings and selling them to people. So that's also a great option. So yeah, so that's another thing you can do. Then you can of course make comics. We all know about XKCD. It's just too popular. I don't have to introduce you to that. He worked at NASA for a few years, and after that he left NASA to pursue a career in making comics and books and writing science communication books and whatnot. So yeah, I mean he's doing very well, obviously. And of course you can do YouTube, which is sort of what everyone is into right now. Garib Scientist. Just check him out on YouTube. He has 240,000 followers, and he just makes videos about India's space program. And the interesting thing is, he makes it in Hindi. He goes into technical details, but he makes it in Hindi, and he speaks in such a simple and basic language that even my grandmother can understand it. So that's a great example of a science communicator based out of India, tailored for the Indian audience. Okay, or you can do all of it. So I spoke about Emily Lakdawala. She's absolutely one of my most favorite people and one of my biggest inspirations. She does everything. She has been working for the Planetary Society for about 20 odd years, uh, and now is going solo. She has written science communication articles. She has written science, technical science reports. She has done space art, which you can see here on the right side. So there's no reason you need to stick to just one form.
Thank you, Jatan, for this absolutely fascinating talk. I just have a simple question. If people who want to go for scientific writing in India, are there any courses? Because I know abroad there are PhDs in science communication and scientific writing. So, are there any opportunities? Because you have been writing since I think from BSc or something.
Yeah.
Someone may not be so comfortable with writing. So, if somebody wants to go in this field, are there opportunities after MSc, for example?
Yes, sort of. So there are not academic courses in the traditional sense, but the Indian Institute of Science, for example, and ISER in Pune, they both run summer courses for science communication and writing, which is a 2 month or so course. So that is where you can, professionally learn how to communicate as a science communicator. And the other thing one can also do in addition to this in India is reaching out to people who are science writing and ask them to edit your articles, a few of your articles. So that is also a great way to learn. In addition to
Was there any financial difficulty that you feel at some point, or did you even ever think to stop this because it may not be as paying as other jobs?
right. So absolutely. I mean, to be very honest, yeah, there have been. It's not been completely roses, like all the way through. So there have been aspects where I have not been sure if I will get by for the next month or 3 months or something like that. If I don't get, for example, articles for for the said month or so on. But I think as things go, you sort of learn to go around it and plan around it. So just like any other job, which is not a regular 9 to 5 job, there are ups and downs, but there are also times likewise where you get a lot of the articles written in 1 month, and that sort of sets you through the next month if you do not get many articles. So there are certainly ups and downs, and there are risks involved. For example, when I left the team Indus to pursue science communication full time, I wasn't sure if I would get enough articles to get by and even make a decent income. But uh, apart from a couple of months, it was not bad. So I think it also depends on identifying the correct time for you to take such an endeavor. So sometimes you can just have a job and wait for a better opportunity to arise, like a writing position at, for example, Times of India or something like that, and then jump when it is the right time. So timing is very critical in that regard.
What is the opportunities to explore the science in local language? See, the main aim for the science communicator is to the explore the science.
Right. So that's a great question. And I think that's one of the untapped markets in general. And not just a market, but also a necessity to do, because, as you correctly said, most of the communication is in English, but mm, mm, a large chunk of Indians and even abroad, people abroad do not speak English or are very lucid or comfortable in English, but they are very comfortable in, consuming knowledge or imparting knowledge in their own language. But the problem is there are not as many communicators, as far as I know, in local languages, including in Indian languages. And that's a huge gap, which is why, if you remember from the slides, he does Hindi videos, right, on YouTube. And of course, by the virtue of having your content on the internet, you cannot reach people who do not have access to the internet. But that's a problem which is getting solved, because every year the number of people having access to the internet is growing at a rapid rate, especially in India, thanks to things like geo happening and so on. So I think trying to chase people who do not have access to the internet via mediums other than newspapers is not something that will have as large of an effect, as opposed to creating content in Indian languages itself and putting it up on the internet. So yes, but nevertheless, this is just one example. There are many other uh, areas where, even in Gujarati, I don't think, which is my own language, there are not enough communicators. And speaking for myself, I do not know how to write in Gujarati. I just know how to speak in Gujarati. So in fact, I myself am lacking there. So if I am in need of a translator who will write lucid Gujarati, because again, even if I knew how to write Gujarati technically, that doesn't make me a good Gujarati writer, because I still need to learn the entire process that I learned for English writing and apply that to Gujarati writing.
For new students, I mean, suppose somebody desires to become a science communicator or science writer. So what are the platforms platforms where he can approach, or where he can just go? I mean, you showed some of them, of course, like some space teams, but in general, I mean, some in other fields of physics, suppose, or in other fields of science, if somebody
Hmm.
wants to write.
Right, right.
I mean, are there platforms available where people can approach and go to?
Yes, there are many other options and platforms that people have depending on their subfield of physics or subfield of science. So, but the general idea is the same. What you essentially have to do is, one, you have to identify the who is writing about that particular topic, and that's the easy part because you just have to browse on the internet for hours, and you slowly start finding after Google searching and browsing on social media and so on. You need to identify publications which essentially publish about the topic that you are writing, that you are interested in. And I know there are many platforms for each topic in the field of science. Second, identify the specific people that are powering those publications, and this is where websites of the publications and Twitter comes in, where you can directly see who is the editor of the said publication, what is he or she tweeting about or sharing or so on. And there is a public email ID available of the editor where you can reach out to the editor. And the third thing is identify fellow communicators in the process of identifying the publications and the editors, and then the process just becomes a, a repetitive muscle memory sort of a work. So and there are and all of these publications, by the way, pay you. It's not free. Like some of them are pro bono. That is, you get to publish but you do not get paid for writing your article. But you can do that to get to a point where you can pitch to a publication who would pay you for that, for writing the article. And Indian publications also pay for writing articles. For example, I will not give out specific figures, but I will give you an average. So for example, all the Indian publications which are general news sites like The Wire, The Print, uh, Times of India, Hindustan Times, and so on, all of them are publishing on the internet now. All of them accept freelance pitches from writers of all levels, and if they accept your pitch, they pay about 5 to 7,000 per article, for example. So
Okay.
and
Oh.
so let's say for someone who's starting out, if they get 4 articles a month, then that's approximately 24 to 30,000 rupees, right? So and this is for starting out. And of course, as in when you get published on better and better publications and foreign publications obviously pay more. So target both general news publications, because they are always interested in niche stories which no one else can cover, and target specific publications when you feel that you are professionally good enough, because they are interested in very niche topics. So there are blogs, for example, dedicated to particle physics. Symmetry magazine is the most popular of them. So Symmetry magazine, for in fact, accepts freelance writers, for example. So it's just that the writers need to have a demonstrated portfolio.
Thank you once again, Chatan.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Department of Physics as well. It was really nice speaking to students again. And yeah, it's great. Thank you.